Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at something you guys have asked for quite a bit, because this kit has been around for quite some time, 12 years to be exact. This is a kit from 2009. So this isn't my first time ever building the Kshatriya. I actually had one before, I'm gonna say about 8 or so years ago, but as far as I remember it got heavily damaged in an earthquake in Japan, so when I was coming back from Japan I didn't hold on to it. And it is a kit I do miss because it's just so unique. Mobile Suit Unicorn has a plethora of awesome mobile suit designs, but none stand out quite as much as this big green beast with the 4 wing binders right here. Based on the Queen Mansa from Double Zeta, this has a real Cubile vibe just with a whole lot of Zaku flair. And I have to say, this model kit right here holds up very well for a high grade from back in 2009 with an incredibly unique design. So I will mention out of the box, this kit does have some minor issues. That of course is with some loose parts, especially in the arms and sometimes up in the binders. These aren't the biggest issues, definitely not deal breakers by any means, but that is why I put a little bit of extra effort into this kit. The other thing that is a little bit of a letdown is all of that awesome sleeves iconography that makes Neo Zeon kits so cool is all just stickers and not molded onto the actual model kit. But besides both of those factors, this is fantastic. Anyway, let's get right into the review. So starting right off here is absolutely everything that comes in the box, which isn't really a whole lot. That of course is the high-grade Kshatriya itself, 2 beam sabers and a base adapter. Besides that, it's a fairly plain kit that gets right to the point. Also, I will mention that I was shocked by how little is inside the box. It's a massive box, I mean it's huge. About the size of a large-ish master grade, but the amount of plastic in here isn't all that much. That is 13 runners, not including the beams and the polycaps. And honestly, most of the building is in the legs and the binders. Besides that, it's a very quick build. I was able to build this, panel line it, paint the details on, the sleeves, iconography, and top coat it all in one day. It's made out of a lot of large parts, so it snaps together pretty quickly. But anyway, that is enough about putting it together. Let's check out that finished build. So anyway, there's the high-grade Kshatriya out of the box with a little bit more than the standard snap build that I do on here. So what I did was, I cleaned up all the knobs, panel lined it, painted some details, and added some top coat. That is all, so all very basic items. So as for the panel lining, as usual, I just used a black Gundam marker fine liner on anything that isn't yellow, and on the yellow I used the brown one. To paint the detailing on the sleeves iconography, I just used Citadel's White Scar, which I have to admit I don't really like. If you can recommend me a good white paint for painting detailing, let me know in the comments. This thing took like 50 coats and it's like painting with chalk. And finally then I used Mr. Super Clear in flat for that beautiful matte flat top coat. Of course this does kill all of the shine on it. If you don't like that, you might want to use gloss, and it also does make it look a little, well, less vivid in the color department. So I'll just pop a picture up right now of what this looked like when it was somewhat of the way throughout the build, so you can get a better idea of what the actual original color looked like. So yeah, besides the white details, the color separation on this is pretty much line art perfect. It looks like it stepped right out of the anime once again. Bye bye. So yeah, it can be a little bit back heavy if you've aligned the binders up the way I did. I'm gonna swing these ones forward to kind of balance out the back ones. I just have them put to the side so you can see more of the beast that is the Kshatriya itself. But anyway, as I was saying, besides the sleeves iconography there, which is not in white, the rest of the color separation is pretty much perfect. All 12 of the mega particle cannons in its chest and around in the binders, these are all made out of the color correct plastic part, so that's yellow sandwiched into white, inserted into the binders and chest, looking fantastic. And honestly, the only thing that I can see that isn't color accurate is this little segment right here in the side of the leg. That is meant to be in white, but everything else looks pretty much the way that it should. So anyway, jumping into that full 360-degree spin of the high-grade Kshatriya, once again, this is pretty much perfect. I can see why this kit is so popular. But like I said before, the build isn't as sturdy as I would have liked it to be, but top coating this kit, especially a lot of the problem joints like the shoulders and the arms for the binders, made sure that everything right now is as solid as a rock. That's all that it took. and everything is where it needs to be. The silhouette is perfect, it looks big, buff, awesome, and once again, if you do not like stickers, you will have to paint some of the detailing on this kit. I just stripped off the binders there so you can see what's underneath in case you're thinking of any kind of customs using this kit. And honestly, without its binders, it just looks like a swole Zaku, and that is pretty cool. Anyway, onto those size comparisons. But first, I forgot to show the stickers. So these are the stickers that come in here. So that is the sleeves iconography right here. I did use these stickers with my original Kshatriya and I didn't like them. They kind of cover up the three-dimensional aspect of the detailing on this kit. As for the sticker I did use, I just used the pink for the mono eye there. That can look left and right, which is always a cool little addition. And finally, we do have those white stickers for using on the recessed parts on the sides of the legs, like I showed before. So the Kshatriya, without a doubt, is a fairly big high grade. So let's do some comparisons. First up, there is your standard sized Gundam. So it does stand a good head and shoulders above that. Next up, bringing in a 1/44th scale Unicorn Gundam. This is the real grade. Popping that in beside as well. Try not to get the binders in the way. So not too much taller than the Unicorn besides those binders, that is. Seeing as I've been seeing a lot online that Barbie right here, Barbie Lupus, is the Goku of the multiple Gundam universes. As in, everyone likes to say who would win in a fight, Barbie or somebody else? Well, who would win, Barbatos or Kshatriya? I suppose all of that is beams, isn't it? So, it would have to come down to fisticuffs. So throwing in some more Gundams, and this is probably one of the biggest Gundams around. That, of course, is New Gundam. This is the HWS, missing its wing, which I still have to build. Anyway, let's get him in there, and New Gundam is taller. Time to move Kshatriya over a bit now. We're getting the big guns. Sliding in the real grade Zeong here. I'm going to keep all of these kits 1/44th scale because I like to see what things would be like if they were side by side, ready to throw down. And technically, model kit mass-wise, Kshatriya is a little bit bigger, but not by much. Well, I don't know, a lot of Zeong's mass is in the ass, so it's hard to tell. Either way, there's definitely a lot more plastic crammed into this. So next up with the big mobile suits, next up we've got the... And I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. In Japanese, it is Torisrita? Torisrita? But it looks like it says Todesritter, so I have no idea. It's from the Gundam game Missing Link, and it's a much bigger model kit than I expected, and just as tall as the Kshatriya without its binders. And also one undeniably awesome looking mobile suit. So the next big old oversized high grade is this right here, which is the high grade TR6 Hazenclay Ra 2. So this is more tall than it is, well, large. Actually, it's pretty large as well. And a kit that probably has around the same mass as the Kshatriya, just mainly up the way. Next up in here then, we've got this absolute behemoth, which of course is the high-grade Penelope from the upcoming movie Hathaway's Flash, which absolutely dwarfs the Kshatriya. And finally, if for some reason you've ever wondered how big the Kshatriya would be side by side with a Millennium Falcon, or should I say the Millennium Falcon, there you go. So yeah, high-grade Kshatriya, pretty damn big. So anyway, we're moving back to the accessories, and there's absolutely everything that comes in the box, bar one tiny little thing. And by one tiny little thing, I mean 24 tiny little things. So this kit does have all 24 of Kshatriya's funnels, and these can be removed. These can be popped out as simple as this right here, and this is what one of them looks like out. So I will mention one thing about these, and that is there is no dedicated stands in here, so the only thing you can really attach them to is the inside of the wings, which definitely is a bit of a shame. As far as I know, there is no sold separately attachment effect parts for using with these. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments, but I did see one post on Reddit when I took a quick Google, and that did show that you can use some kind of sold separately Cubile parts with this kit, and it looks pretty cool. So next up in here, we've got the beam sabers. We've got two of these. I did sand the beam. I did this completely on a whim because I thought it might look cool. Basically, when I was top coating the kit, I was like, will I top coat these or not? I decided I would. I didn't in the end, by the way, but I did want to take these seam lines off the side, and when I sanded them, I thought they looked so well. Like they're made out of actual energy as opposed to just plastic, so I think it's a pretty cool effect. I also found that sanding the beam blade down like this also made it react a little better under blue light, giving a more uniform glow that looks, well, pretty kick-ass. This kit right here only has the one set of hands, and those are for holding onto the beam saber, so they just pop in like that. and like that. And as long as you push them in all the way, that is where they're going to stay. Sadly, when you're not actually using these, there is no place to store them. Where they're meant to be stored is in here underneath that cuff section on the inside, but there is no spot to stick them on this particular kit. So the last accessory that we have in here is this base adapter. Now this kind of shocked me a little bit for one main reason, and that is this kit is designed to work with the classic action base. That is the action base number 1. Only this base. So basically when you pull the top segment off of one of these, you've got this little nubbin underneath, and that is the hole that's inside of this base adapter. So that pops on there like so, and I did try it on a couple of other action bases, and all it tends to do is kind of just hover on there and not really fit too securely. So if you really want this to attach and attach right, you're going to have to get this right here, the action base 1. I'll pop a picture up so you don't get confused. But besides that, it does hold on quite well. I've found this part where the small arm attaches onto the big arm can be a little bit jank on this particular base, so make sure to pay attention to that it doesn't fail on you, and your Kshatriya does a faceplant. Also, I will mention when you're not using an action base, we've got this handy dandy little hole cover. So finally moving on to the build and the articulation, and build-wise, this does need tightening up out of the box, and all I did was pretty much top coat all the parts before putting it together, and that is enough to hold it, well, fairly solidly. It still kind of drops at the knees sometimes, but it has a whole lot of weight to deal with. So going through everything one at a time, first up we've got the binders. So we've got this hinge joint right here, another one right here, and a third one right there, followed by a locking joint up top. So this, when pulled out, is unlocked, so it can move up and down like so. This is top coated, so it does mean it's tough enough to hold the wings, no bother. But when it is not, you can just lock it into position like that, which stops it from moving around on ya. Next up, we've got the full spin up top, thrusters on ball joints, some absolutely beautiful fold out sub arms. Now these are quite floppy at this particular joint right here. These do have a lot of range of motion, extension down here, and these are pretty cool. One of the aspects I adore about this kit, these attach peg into hole into the shoulders. So considering the amount of joints and things going on with the binders right here, these are without a doubt the most impressive aspect of this kit, and pretty much the main reason to get it. They're so expressive, they look awesome, they're the most poseable aspect of this kit, and this is where all the character and expressiveness of this kit come from. Awesome. And now with all of that stripped away, let's check out the rest. Neck joint is a peg, attaches into a polycap, and what we get from that is fairly limited side to side, some up and some down, but not really a whole lot. Like we saw earlier on, the mono eye can look left and right, but you need to take the head off to get underneath to the switch. We've got a joint in the shoulder right here which allows the arms to move forward. It recesses back in like so. It's a round peg that attaches into that hole, which gets us that full 360 spin right here. The forward and back here is quite decent, nothing crazy, quite decent. The Kshatriya features probably the weirdest arm raising I've ever seen, and this is one of the loosest joints in the kit, so I recommend tightening that up. But look at that from underneath, that is so strange. Not the prettiest looking, definitely an odd joint, but I guess it gets the job done. Next up, we've got full rotation at the upper arm, a 90-degree elbow bend, and the wrist is a standard ball and socket, so it does exactly what you'd expect. The waist joint is just a peg into a hole, so fairly simple, which is good because this waist has to put up with a whole lot of weight. As for the rotation there, it goes from there to there. It feels like if you lift it up a little bit, yeah, it will go all the way around, but we're getting some grinding. Maybe don't do that. Ball joint front skirting armor up and down, side skirting down, up, and there is a little bit of rotation in that too. Not a lot, but will work for nice expressive poses. Around the back, we've got a standard big ol' basic butt flap that does not move. Classic waist joint right there, which means it doesn't drop or move in any sort of way. And actually, all of inside here and those big old joints right here really remind me of the Sazabi, which I did not size compare this to, so hey, let's do it right now. I'm not going to pop on the binders, but there it is side by side with big ol' real grade Sazabi. So anyway, there is the kick all the way up to the front. It gets a little blocked, but not so bad considering how big it is. all the way out to the back. Once again, extremely blocked. Next up then, we've got the splits. There we go, out to that side. Out to that side, and no bother whatsoever. Next up then, there is that bend at the knee, and bonus points if you noticed that the armor was on backwards in the intro. I'm glad I noticed it then, that it's not still on there now, because the knee wasn't bending that well. So there is the bend at the knee, and just beyond 90 degrees, so pretty good for a bulky kit. We've got this little armor flappy in the knee that moves up and down like so. Next up, full rotation at the upper leg. And finally getting that foot on the ground to see what the leg can do. So there's it tilted all the way to the back, so not so much. There it is all the way to the front. Really? Okay, that's not much at all. So it seems like, yeah, the ankle is probably one of the most limited joints on this kit. But hey, I don't remember the Kshatriya using its ankles all that much. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this is a hard one to rank. The Kshatriya is a very awesome kit, but at the same time is not one without its failings. But when it comes to my ranking system, would this be a standard high grade at silver tier, or would this be a little more than I would expect from a high grade at gold tier? So I am going to go with a gold tier, but this is a gold tier kit because it is an experience. It's very unique, it's big, and it looks fantastic, without a doubt. For the year this came out, this is mind-blowing. However, the but aspect of course is the color separation is not the greatest on those sleeves parts, so that does mean you're gonna have to use stickers or paint them by hand. The second aspect is some parts are a little bit loose for how big this kit is, but then again, a simple fix. All the main aspects are here. The color separation is fantastic, besides those sleeves parts. The look is right on the money. I mean, this looks like it stepped right out of the anime, and honestly, those binder wings are some of the funnest 1/44th scale gunpla things around. If you have a 1/44th scale collection, this is gonna look like an absolute beast in there. So yeah, it is somewhat of a simple kit with a lot of big parts, but the payoff is fantastic. I love it. I'm glad I replaced it, and if you're thinking of getting one, I recommend that you grab one too. If you can find one, that is. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews. I'm popping up that pile of gunpla again, which this was from, so let me know what you want to see next. A lot of people are saying Epion, but let me know what you want to see. Anyway, I'll see you next time.